My name is Sari van Poelje, and I'm the owner of Intact Academy. In Intact Academy, we train people from beginner coach to team coach to consultant to supervisor. So from any stage of learning how to help others to being a kick-ass coach. The other place I own is called Team Agility, and in that we help businesses innovate more quickly than their products, so that they're always on time to market. One of the tools we use is Transactional Analysis, or TA, and in the past blogs we've been talking about different concepts in that. At the moment we're talking about conflicts or psychological games, and we've been talking about how you get into games, and now we're talking about how to get out of games or conflict. One of the ways to describe games is through the drama triangle. The drama triangle was created by a guy called Stephen Karpman, who said, wow, actually in every conflict or every psychological game, we can identify three roles. We have the rescuer. The rescuer is someone who gives help when there's no need or no contract for it. So let's say, if you get hit by a car and I come to you and I say, I'm going to call an ambulance, it's not rescuing because there's a clear need, all right? If you hand me a piece of paper and you go, can you correct this for me? And I help you with that, it's called helping, not rescuing, because there's a contract for it. But if you're sitting there and I go up to you, oh my God, you look tired. Shall I get you a pillow? Oh my God, shall I get you a cup of tea? When there's no need and there's no contract, we call that rescuing. It's the difference between mothering and smothering. For those of you in the know, it's the difference between mothering and smothering. So the second role in the drama triangle is called persecution. And persecution is when someone gives directives without being there being a need or a contract for it. So if I tell you what to do and we're on the deck of the Titanic and I say, go to the rescue boat now, right side, first one, it's not persecution because there's actually a need. Titanic is sinking, you need the rescue boat, right? If you ask me to teach you how to train your puppy, and you tell me, listen, I really need you to give me clear directives on how to do that, and I teach you how to do that, I go, you have to say sit in command voice, for instance, then it's not persecution because you've actually contracted for it, that I give you directives. But if you come into the room and I go, gee whiz, why did you put those socks on? Those aren't socks to wear at a training program. Go change your socks. That's persecution because there's no need and there's no contract for it, okay? So now we've got two roles in the drama triangle, rescuer, persecution. The third role is called victim. And the victim role is when, it's a role, the victim role is when you take a helpless position when there's no need and no contract for it. So if you go, I'm cold in here, and someone gets up and opens the window, when there's, you're perfectly capable of opening the window yourself, you're clearly in a victim role, in my book, in my world. Yeah? It's when you play adapted child, really, we say, if we go back to ego states. Now, those roles are ways to describe a game. So in every game, we have these three roles. Some people say even we have four roles. So Persecutor Karpman said there's also always someone who's a bystander. And a bystander is really the fourth role out of a game, someone who watches. Yeah. If it's a positive role, it's called a witness. That's really important. But if it's a negative role, it's a bystander. Those are people who see what's happening and don't do anything. Yeah. So But we're going to talk about the 3 roles because we're talking about how to get out of games. So we know to get into a game, we always have a plan A and a plan B. So most of us have a favorite role to get into games and a usual role where we end up. So some people start a game from persecution. Why the hell did you put those socks on? And then someone goes, why the hell are you telling me that? And they end up in victim going, I was only trying to help. You know, that's a typical way of getting into games. Or someone has a favorite role, rescuer, and they end up in persecution. Like they go, you know, you look really tired. I'm going to bring you a cup of tea. And then someone goes, I never asked for that. Why the hell? And you go, look, every time I try to help you, you push me away. There's something wrong with our relationship. So some people, you know, they get into rescuer as plan A and they end up plan B, which is persecution, etc., etc. So in a game, we can describe a game by the steps like Formula G, but we can also describe games through the way you get in and how you end up in a game. And we call that the drama triangle. To get out of the drama triangle, there's a guy called A.C. Choi, and he wrote a really good article called The Winner's Triangle in 1990. And he said, listen, you know, we're really down on these people who are victim, persecutor, or rescuer, but actually we should recognize also the positive sides of these roles, because recognizing the positive sides or the compassionate side of these roles will help you stay out of games as well. So he said, look, a rescuer is really someone who is very genuinely concerned about other people. They have an exaggerated sense of compassion, let's call it that. And rescuers are people who are able to see the needs of others probably before they know their own needs. And so what they do is they offer help, which is a great thing to do. The step they have missed is, 1, most people can solve their own problems. And 2, if they want to stay pure in the relationship, they have to make sure they have a contract to help. So when I see clients who regularly get into conflict or get into trouble because they offer help without a contract, one of the things I teach them to stay out of conflict or out of games is, okay, you see someone's need, that's great, I love your empathy, and make sure that you have an agreement to help. So, because if not, you're almost sure to get into a conflict. Maybe not then, but at a certain point. Because each time you help without a contract, you create debt. You create emotional debt. And at a certain moment, someone is going to put that, give that back to you. You get what I mean. So what I teach rescuers is to create a need and a contract. So okay, you see someone is tired, maybe they do need a cup of tea, but what you do is you go up to them and you say, hey, can I do anything for you? If they say no, you stop. That's the other important thing. Yeah. If they say yes, you can say, what would you like me to do? Maybe they don't want a cup of tea. Maybe they just wanted you to speak to them. Yeah. So one great way to stay out of conflict, yes, please use your rescuer abilities, but make sure that you have a contract for it. So the good part of rescuing is this caring empathy. The good part of being a persecutor is that you have a real sense of what needs to be done. Unfortunately, in most organizations, we do choose persecutors because the myth is that we have to choose people who directively can tell people what needs to be done. That works for a very short time, when there's an emergency, but they keep doing it even if there's not an emergency. So if the Titanic is sinking, you can afford to be directive without a contract. Even then, I don't really think that's a good idea, but still. But if that's your usual style of management, to tell people what to do without having a contract, you're going to get into trouble. So the great thing about being a persecutor is you've got an acute sense of what needs to be done. The bad thing about being a persecutor is you don't have a contract for it. So what we need to teach these managers and these people who have this great sense of what needs to be done is to actually create a question. Because what they often do is in their minds, they think, I'm the only one who can do this. And when I do it, it goes much more quickly. That's a myth. It's not true. So if you have this persecution energy, please, one, recognize the ability of others, because else you'll never be able to develop them. That's the problem. And the second thing is learn how to ask a question. So do you want me to tell you what to do? And people might go, yes. I don't have a lot of time. Please just tell me what to do. Yeah. People might go, no. Please sit next to me while I do it. And if I do it wrong, please tell me. Then you have a contract. Okay? So persecutors, great thing. They're assertive. They have a great sense of what needs to be done. What they have to learn is to create contracts before they do anything. Okay? We're going to talk about contracts another time. The great thing about victims, the third role, is they have a fabulous sense of vulnerability. They are willing to show that they're vulnerable and that they need help. Now, Brené Brown has a great book on vulnerability. If you haven't watched her TED Talk, please do so. So she's great on vulnerability, Brené Brown. The thing is, with victims is they have a sense of suffering. What they don't do is they don't ask for help. So they've learned very smart ways of doing that indirectly. For instance, by saying, it's cold in here, or I don't know what to do, like this. And of course, they attract persecutors and rescuers with that. And so they go their merry dance of getting into games together. What victims have to learn is they have to account for their sense of vulnerability. Fantastic. It's a fantastic model in this world where everybody thinks they can do and should do everything on their own. No, human beings are social beings. We're out here to help each other. That's great. What vulnerable people have to know and what victims have to realize is they have a great capacity to solve their own problems. One. So, you know, if I get these people into coaching, what I teach them is, what resources do you have to be able to solve this? Yeah. And two, I really recognize their ability to feel their own needs and teach them how to ask for help. Because, you know, it's great they have this sense of vulnerability. It's also great if they learn how to be assertive about asking for help in that. Yeah. Else you'll always end up a victim, and that's not a good place to be, really. Okay, so how to get into games is clear, right? You take one of the roles in the drama triangle. How to get out of games is recognize your caring, your assertiveness, your vulnerability, but learn how to contract for what you need. Please share this video. The world will be a better place.